Hello and welcome to my channel, and this is going to be the criteria and informational video for the 2019 Bookish Academy Awards. Okay, so if you have been watching my channel, there have been rumblings and tumblings and talk about how I do a Bookish Academy Awards, which I got the idea from Reagan from Peruse Project. Oh my goodness. She had this idea a long time ago, like a couple years ago, and I have been doing it ever since. I've been changing it and tweaking it and doing things like that. So the actual Bookish Academy Awards show won't be until January because it is going to include the entire year's worth of 2019's reading, and I have about 12, sometimes less, but no more than 12 books for each of the categories that I'm going to go over right now. I'm going to give you a little description about what the criteria was for making it into the nomination process, and I hope that you guys will stay tuned and, you know, check out the videos that are going to be coming out. They are going to just randomly come out. I'm not going to put them into the schedule. So some days you may get 2 videos from me. Some days you may only get 1, but it is going to be released the entire month of December so that I can get these out. The 12th book for most of the categories, for all but one category, I think it is, will remain a mystery, and I will just briefly let you know during the award show what that 12th book is, because each of these books come from the month that they were read. So as I sat down to do this list and build this out and stuff like that, I started to find that I had a lot of contenders this year. I mean, as when I'm recording this, because these are all going to be mass recorded, as I'm recording this, I was sitting at like 380 books read for the year. So yeah, it was really, really tough in some of these months that actually broke down into months to decide which book goes with which category, and I didn't want to give a whole bunch of repeats for the same books. So there may be some repeated books in the categories, but for the most part, there are going to be a lot of different books for each of the categories, and I hope you guys really, really enjoy it. So to start off, I don't know which order I will be putting these videos out. However, I will say the 5 big categories that I have will come out further into December, near the end of December, just because those are going to be the big categories, and I'm sure you guys are going to, you know, really want to get recommendations from those. So use these videos as recommendations as well. So the categories are going to be the best documentary, which is in translation historical romance or historical fiction or non-fiction. So bibliographies, autobiographies, things like that. That is what you needed to qualify for this category. For the category of best cinematography, that translates to best plot twist. So in each one of the months, I believe that is one of the ones that I did for each month. During that month, I had to really enjoy the plot twist that came within the story and really had to embrace it and feel that even though it's 12 months down the road because we're in December and in January, I'm still thinking about that plot twist to be nominated for that category. Next category is a best costume design. Now I went back and I chose a cover for each month, I believe it was. No, I just went through all the books that I have already read and picked 12 covers that I really, really loved and find very memorable. For best visual effects, this goes with the action within the book. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to have guns and, you know, over the top type action, military action that goes along with it. If the action within the book just really grabbed me and had me pulled in, either made me read it in like one sitting, just it had to really grab me and have some action. No slow points whatsoever within the book to get nominated for that category. Next, we have Best Short Film, and that translates to novellas. Period. Short stories, novellas, that is what you had to be to qualify and get a nomination. And that is done by the months, because I have read novellas and short stories through the entire year, and I picked one for each month. That really just resonated with me. Next, we have Best Original Screenplay, which is a unique plot or world in which grabbed me and really dragged me in. Something that I hadn't necessarily seen before, a book storyline that just really resonated with me and definitely caught me off guard, and I hadn't read before. For Best Adapted Screenplay, this broke down to any book that was turned into a movie, television show, or miniseries that was based off of a book. And I believe I only had about 12 of those. So that may be one of the categories in which I don't actually have 12 books for each, or may have been, you know, that book was read in the same month as another book type thing. Just because I didn't read a lot of adaptations this year, but there's still room for adding on as well. And now we're getting into the categories in which these will come out at the end of December, so hold your horses for those. But we have Best Actor and Actress, which is my sort of most memorable male and female character for the month. I did pick 11, well, it will be 12. I am picking 12 memorable female and male characters for each one of the months, and they had to be read within that month. And this is where I really started to notice that, wow, there were some months there that I had 4 or 5 main characters for each that I was like, ooh, why does this one win out over this other one? Now, that then made me break it down to if I had to go with my 5-star books, and those were the characters that ended up getting the nomination. So, if it was a memorable character and the book received a 5-star rating, those are the main characters that I looked for. Next category is probably one of my favorites and was super hard to do, but in some months. But I really enjoy this category, and I hope you guys enjoy this category. But that is the Best Director category. Now, that breaks down to the author that was newest to me. So a lot of the months I read quite a few older, or no, I shouldn't say older, authors that I have read before, and I didn't want to just continually say the same author. So I put that caveat or that sort of criteria on to this category. For Best Director, I had to have not read a single book from you before the month that they were picked. And some months I actually had multiple nominees or multiple possibilities, and then I broke it down to sort of saying, you know, did I end up, yes, I loved this new to me author, but did I go and read more of their books? And if the answer was yes, or I went and purchased their books, or if I've had a personal conversation with these authors and continued on after I read their novel or what have you, their works, did I like reach out and start to have a connection with this author, then they definitely got the nomination. So I really hope that I can give you guys 12 new authors that'll be new to you because they were new to me, and that you'll go out and check them out and, you know, start to look at their backlist and start to look at their works and things like that. Then we have Best Picture, which is the criteria for this. It had to be a 5-star book within the month, and it had to be a standalone book. A true standalone book, not a standalone within a series. The book had to be a standalone. There are no other books to come after it, no connection to another book, anything like that. That criteria was quite hard sometimes. Sometimes that criteria was hard, and I found myself having to change some of them because a book may have started off as a standalone, but then 4 months later, it got a sequel, and it was like, dang it. Gotta knock that one off. This is a new category that I added this year, the next category that I'm going to talk about, and that is Best Comedy, which I had a little bit of a hard time with this one. I ended up, some months I didn't actually read a true rom-com book that I labeled as a rom-com. So I had to start to look at the books that I gave 5 stars to that also made me laugh. So that is sort of what that criteria was. And if I had multiple rom-com books within the month that I gave 5 stars to, then it became even harder to decide which one was more funny. That really just sort of tickled me and, you know, made me just really engaged in that rom-com feel. And the final category is the Best Drama Series. Now for this one, that criteria is that it had to be a duet or 3 or more book series, and this one surprisingly was quite hard as well. So I had to break that first criteria of it had to be a 5-star novel in which I read, and it could be any book. So there may be a single book where for that month where none of the other books within the series are mentioned throughout the year. That is just because that book in particular within the series really did it for me. Because there are series in which I do not give the entire series a 5-star rating. I give 1 or 2 books within the series. I was going to say 3, but sometimes, for the most part, I don't think I give very many 5-star books. Or 5-star series. There is 1. But then you would actually have to go over, and which is what I also did, was I went through my notes to look at which ones were actually true, complete 5-star books, and which ones were 4.5s and 4.5 and higher. Because I do have a couple 4.75s in there. And that is sort of where I went from that. And if you're ever wondering about my rating system, you can always check out my video where I explain my rating system and my Steam fans to you guys. It has been updated and everything like that. Now, through this list, I did knock off a couple categories that I have done in the past. Those categories were Best Musical Score, Best Animated Feature, and Best Supporting Actor and Actress. Because I read primarily romance, I'm usually only looking at 2 characters, sometimes 3, depending on if it's a menage or, you know, things like that, different relationship types. So I just knocked those off because I didn't want to waste anybody's time. That is not a criteria that I necessarily go into my books looking for. Animated feature, which would have translated to a book that would be good in animation series type things like Archer, or feature films like Disney stuff. But I definitely decided to nix that this year. And supporting, nope, I already said that. Oh, and Best Musical Score. So a lot of the books that I did read last year have musical scores or Spotify lists that go along with them, but that was so time consuming. This preparing this was already time consuming altogether to put together. So to have to go back and figure out which books had Spotify and lists or playlists to go along with it would have just been crazy, 400 books. So those are the categories. Let's get into how I'm going to actually do the Bookish Academy Award show, which I am thinking I'll probably do live this year, just because now I have a handle on how to do live shows. But I will put all of the nominees into a little jar like this. Into a little jar like this, and the winner will be picked at random. I will not be able to see any of the form or any of the sheets that are in here. I'll shake it up and I'll unscrew it, and then I will pull it out and let you guys know who gets to be the best for 2019 in my eyes. So that live show will be happening in probably the middle of January time frame. Not exactly sure when, but yeah, that's when that's going to happen. I'm not sure. Let me know down in the comment section if I should do that live, because even if I do it live, I don't necessarily want to start a discussion about them. I just sort of want to pick them. So I don't know. Let me know if you are interested in seeing me picking those books live down there in the comment section. Okay, so I think I've rambled on enough, and this intro video was supposed to be really short and, you know, complex, or like really quick, but I started rambling, right? But anyways, let me know if you are excited about the 2019 Bookish Academy Awards that I am doing. Let me know some of your favorites that fit those criterias. I will list them down in the description box, so if you want to do a sort of format of this video, please feel free to. I would love to start watching some best ofs. However, let me just say, let me put this, let me go off script a little bit, because I was about to close out. So it kills me that people start doing best ofs video before the end of the year, which is why in the Bookish Academy Awards, I always leave one space for a book for the month of December, because I read all the way up until that stroke of midnight on December the 31st. So there is always a chance that another book can be added into this list or into each one of those categories, and I love that. So if you decide to do this, can you try and do it in January? If you want to do a shorter video, whatever. But if you want to nominate like I did, please feel free to start putting those out. But always know that there is extra space for one more book. Okay, so enough of that rant. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. There's feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. There are a whole bunch of stuff in that description box, so please check that out. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys later.